Coming up today on Breeze TV, the Muslim Student Association came together this week to call for a ceasefire on the war in Israel and Gaza.
Then, early voting ends in 1 week, and both Republicans and Democrats unite under one common goal: get out there and vote.
Plus, football has yet to fumble into a loss this season, but they're still unable to play in postseason games. How this is affecting the JMU community.
And it's Halloween, Dukes. This city just down 81 gets spooky every year with special help from something they can't explain.
Live from the Allison B. Parker Studio in the School of Media Arts and Design at James Madison University, this is Breeze TV.
Welcome back to Breeze TV. I'm Maggie Rickerby.
And I'm Zoe Mowry. JMU Muslim Student Association held a vigil to remember the lives lost during the unprecedented war between Israel and Hamas on Wednesday. Reporter Amelia Morgan was on Festival Lawn as the community came together in prayer.
It's been over 3 weeks since Hamas initiated attacks against Israel. With the death toll now over 1,400 in Israel and 5,000 in Gaza, JMU Muslim Student Association, MSA, came together for a vigil to mourn.
We are here to show our solidarity, to do prayer for the people who are suffering.
I'm not asking to promote this side or that side. We are here to appeal for the humanity.
Why we're waving Palestinian flags at events like these is because of the inequity in that recognition. What we need is recognition of the Palestinian identity, and we need support for the entire student body.
As president of MSA, Mayub organized the vigil to provide her peers with an outlet during this uncertain time.
Know that if you're watching this unfold, and if you're overwhelmed as I am by the injustice of it all, feeling helpless by your detachment or you're lost at the last time that you were able to properly eat, sleep, or work, if that time was 18 days ago, you are not alone, and you are not helpless.
In negotiations mediated by Qatar, 4 of over 200 Israeli hostages have been released by Hamas as of October 26th, and Hezbollah, a Lebanese militia group, started attacks against Israel earlier this week. Hamdan, who is originally from the West Bank, has lost longtime friends due to the war. Even with the war nearly 6,000 miles away, he stressed the importance of solidarity.
We take pride at JMU of working for diversity, working for inclusiveness, working for equity. We all have to stand for the peace, to stand for the justice, and do not let the propaganda of war prevail.
This is Amelia Morgan for Breeze TV.
Regine Aranazari has the latest on politics across the state. Regine?
Thanks, Zoe, and welcome to Breeze TV Politics. With just 10 days until Election Day, 70% of Virginia voters say education is a very important factor when deciding their vote. However, only 34% consider transgender issues a priority, according to a Washington Post SHAR poll released this week. Virginia has been a hotspot for education debates since the 2019 gubernatorial race, after mounting controversy over Loudoun County Public Schools' handling of 2 sexual assault cases. Although authorities have not confirmed, conservative media claimed the offender was gender fluid. This sparked political debate in a community already experiencing divide over COVID and equity policies, issues that helped Governor Glenn Youngkin garner support for a successful gubernatorial bid.
I'm a moderate voter. I actually used to be a Democrat. And Glenn Youngkin was the first Republican I voted for on a non-local election, mostly based on his view and the Republican view in Virginia that parents are the heads of their households. They are steering the ship for their children.
The Virginia Department of Education under the Youngkin administration released model policies that require parents to be notified if their child changes their name or pronouns at school, and that students use school facilities that match their biological sex. A Wasson Center poll found that roughly 65% of Virginians support these policies. However, there is still debate about the implementation of these guidelines.
Governor Northam's, we didn't adopt them. So we also should give the same sense of scrutiny to Governor Youngkin's as we did to Governor Northam's.
Unfortunately, the governor and the attorney general have said things that I don't think are true. And they've said things like, school boards have to adopt this. School boards have no choice. And the governor specifically targeted individual school board members and said that they will face a real legal liability individually if they don't do that. That's simply not true.
One of the reasons the Attorney General said that is because his office can't sue us because this is guidance. It's not a regulation. It's not a law.
Although Virginia school boards remain divided on the model policies, they still manage to find some common ground.
We work with the students and the parents together, but we do not discriminate.
Parents matter. You know, parents do have a fundamental right in the education upbringing of their children. I think it's a cornerstone of what we hopefully all believe.
They should be tremendously involved. And the Harrisonburg City Schools has all kinds of different ways for parents to be involved to the extent that they have the time, and we encourage parents to be involved.
Still, Virginians continue to grapple with the political weaponization of education.
There was no mention of political parties, and for some reason, in this election, politics seems to be playing a big part.
This week, the Rockingham County School Board voted to cross-reference their own policies, claiming that they are already in compliance with Youngkin's model guidelines. The vote was passed 3-1, with Jack Dixon abstaining and Lowell Falk absent.
We had 5 areas where we were already doing what was in the model policies. There was no difficulty there because we did it. And what we did was add some of the legal references that were on those 5 areas. The other 3 areas were somewhat different, and we are still in the throes of discussing those.
Both Rockingham County and Harrisonburg City School Boards will consult with their legal counsel before reaching a final decision. Breeze TV Politics will continue providing updates on this developing story. In other news, early voting ends in 8 days in the Commonwealth, and both Republicans and Democrats are rolling out efforts to get people to the polls. 2 voting programs are making headway this election season. Executive producer Sam Game takes a closer look at the potential effects.
On Governor Glenn Youngkin's statewide bus tour, there's one message he wants Virginians to take home with them.
Get out and vote.
Youngkin rolled out his Secure Your Vote Virginia program in July, encouraging Virginia Republicans to vote early in the upcoming election. The program's website has access to resources for early voting throughout the state. Now he's taking his message on tour.
We're going to march to November 7th in victory.
Last Saturday, Youngkin stopped by Middleburg, joined by city and state Republicans.
Folks, you hear all the time that elections matter, and some people say, oh, this is life and death election. Folks, the stakes couldn't be higher.
Youngkin has outwardly supported early voting efforts since his campaign for governor. In 2021, he held rallies near polling locations and encouraged supporters to go to the polls after, rounding up over 100 to walk to the polls at one rally in Rockingham County. New statistics show that Republican early votes have increased by 8% since 2021.
The entire nation is watching us again. Why? Because they need hope. They're looking for hope that, in fact, a state that was lost can be found.
9 days after the launch of Secure Your Vote, Virginia Democrats announced their own early voting campaign, the Majority Project.
The whole purpose of this is to have more people engaged, and able to vote without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops on their election day.
Jane Doherty, vice chair of precinct operation at the Harrisonburg Democratic Committee and campaign manager for Kathy Beery, says she's glad absentee voting is more accessible now.
My dad was a retired Air Force officer, disabled. My mother was his primary caregiver, and every single year I used to have to get his doctor to sign a permission slip for her to vote absentee. So that was very frustrating for our family. And now there's no questions asked. If you can't come to the polls, you vote absentee.
With early voting ending in less than a week, Youngkin's message to vote early crosses party lines.
We're very glad that the Republican Party is sharing this message to go get out and vote.
Early voting ends November 4th. Absentee ballots must be postmarked on or before Election Day. Reporting for Breeze TV, I'm Sam Game.
To gear up for Election Day, local candidates for Virginia State Senate and House of Delegates campaigned on campus. JMU Civic hosted their annual traveling town hall to inform students on the candidates' platforms. 2nd District Senate candidates Democrat Kathy Beery and Libertarian Joshua Huffman participated without Republican incumbent Mark Openshain, who has not attended any public forum or debate this election season. 24th District House of Delegates candidate Esther Nizer also participated without Republican opponent Tony Wilt, who could not attend due to a scheduling conflict. Students asked questions regarding the community, diversity, and democracy at 3 different locations on campus. The next candidate forum is Monday, October 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Memorial Hall. For our next installment of People in Politics, we are highlighting Rockingham County School Board candidate Charlotte McQuilkin. McQuilkin already serves as a member on the school board and is seeking re-election this year. She began her term in 2020 but has been serving Rockingham County Schools for 47 years, from teaching to being the director of testing. Over time, she worked her way up and stayed committed to serving the school division.
I will say once again, I am passionate about this division. I'm passionate about Rockingham County, and I want our schools to be the very best. And I want this for every student, every child in our division, in our county.
Although it's McQuilkin's third time running for school board, she says it's the first time she's seen so much partisanship in a school board election.
That's the way I want to see our school board to continue to be independent-minded, with our focus solely on the students and the school system and what we need to do to serve our students, and not based upon any political party.
In other news, Breeze TV reporter Alexa Bonilla is in studio with updates in the nation's top stories this week.
As a trained firearms instructor. And remains on
the That's all for politics. Coming up next.
It's time to kick it with the sports desk.
Football is making national headlines after 7 straight wins, despite being ineligible for bowl games.
Then the royal rivalry is in full swing this weekend, how the team is looking to take down their in-state opponent.
Plus, field hockey supports those affected by breast cancer in their latest matchup against UVA.
Don't leave after the half. We'll be right back.
Where did my big go? I need to go home.
Okay, everyone, let's figure out how to get home. Okay, what about riding a bird home?
We all know how that ended last time.
Well, what about Uber? Are you kidding? Have you seen our bank account?
Ooh, what about a Safe Rides? It's free and it's guaranteed to get us home safe.
Let's do it.
Save your spooks for Halloween and call Safe Rides for a ride home.
Tailgating is a song heard across campuses, parking lots, and open fields. They say this song can be heard elsewhere, and perhaps this is true, but it is nowhere near as bright, nowhere near as loud, nowhere near as triumphant as it is right here. Tailgating may not have been born here, but here is where tailgaters are born.
It's bow time. It takes 49 steps to bake a fluffy made-from-scratch Bojangles biscuit. But to make it a country ham biscuit, it takes 50. Get a fresh buttermilk biscuit today with a slice of juicy country-style ham. It's bow time.
This is Breeze TV.
We apologize for those technical difficulties. Now over to Alexa Bonilla with this week's National News Rundown.
Thanks, Zoe and Maggie. At least 18 people were killed and 13 injured in a mass shooting spree that took place in Lewiston, Maine on Wednesday night. A suspect has been identified as a trained firearms instructor and remains on the run. There have been over 500 mass shootings in the U.S. in 2023. Next, Louisiana Republican Mike Johnson has been elected as House Speaker, reopening the chamber after 3 weeks as the GOP struggled to unite in favor of a nominee. Although Johnson has no previous experience in House leadership, 220 Republicans voted for him, while 209 Democrats backed Hakeem Jeffries. Now over to Israel, where at least 1,400 people have been killed in addition to 7,000 Palestinians since the Hamas attack on October 7th, according to Al Jazeera. The U.S. backed a pro-Israel resolution to call for the release of all hostages held by Hamas. President Biden also called for an immediate end to Israeli settler attacks as the Israeli military prepares for a ground invasion. That's all for politics. Back to you, Colby.
Thank you, Alexa. Welcome back to the Sports Desk, your source for all things JMU sports. This is Colby Reese. National recognition is surrounding JMU football, not so much for their play on the field, but for their ineligibility to compete in a bowl game. So why exactly are the Dukes unable to play in a bowl game or compete for the Sun Belt Championship despite being undefeated and nationally ranked? When football programs transition from the FCS to FBS level, they enter a 2-year transition period, which makes them ineligible for postseason play. The only possible way for the Dukes would be able to play in a bowl game is if there aren't enough bowl-eligible teams in the country to fill all the spots, which is highly unlikely. Despite JMU's 8 wins last season and having the best record in the Sun Belt East, they were unable to compete in the Sun Belt Championship game. James Madison went through a waiver process to try and have its transition cut by a year, but it was denied by the NCAA in April. Many national outlets, JMU supporters, and even government officials have spoken out about their frustration with this NCAA rule, especially for JMU, who is 7-0 in their second season in the FBS. Fans across the country are pushing for change, but for now, the Dukes are unbeaten and won't be playing in any games past their last regular season game against Coastal Carolina. The 25th-ranked Dukes take on Old Dominion at Bridgeport Stadium tomorrow night for a Royal Rivalry matchup. JMU defeated Marshall last Thursday to improve to 7-0. ODU is coming off back-to-back Sun Belt wins over Southern Miss and Appalachian State. The Dukes' defense leads the country in rush defense, tackles for loss, and sacks. After last season's big 37-3 road win, they'll take on a revamped and new-look Monarchs offense. Head coach Kirk Cinetti said his defense has to be up for another tough task, one that will be even more challenging than the Herd. He emphasized the big playmaking ability of the Monarchs and how JMU must be aware of that. James Madison will play its second ever game in program history, being nationally ranked in the AP Top 25 poll. Last season, when the Dukes were ranked 25th, they were defeated on the road by Georgia Southern. But this season, they hope to have better success and get their first win in school history as a ranked team.
The thing about it is that everyone knows what happened last year. They had that in the back of their minds. So it's like we just have to, keep on working, do what we have to do, because the work that was being put in and us winning these games is what got us here. So we just can't fall off of that and keep on going, set the standard up even higher in the expectations.
With a lot of Virginia natives on the Dukes roster, JMU looks to get their 8th win of the season by taking down their in-state rival.
It's very important. You don't want to treat it more than any other games, but being from Virginia, you understand that rivalry and you understand that it's important to the crowd, the people, the alumni here, and you just want to go out there and do your best.
The primetime sold-out homecoming matchup is set to kick off at 8 p.m. The Virginia Cavaliers travel to Harrisonburg on Tuesday to take on JMU field hockey. Sports reporter Piper Hepler recaps the action and looks into the Dukes as they prepare to close out the season.
Tuesday night, JMU took on 5th-ranked UVA for an in-state rivalry matchup. The Dukes wore pink in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Night to show their support for an important matter to the team.
I think a lot of our teammates have been affected with either their family or any friends, so it was really special to play a game that was so hard fought, and I think that really represents just breast cancer awareness and what it means to us.
Grad student Morgan Merritt put the Dukes on the board with a goal off a corner in the first quarter. Maddie Shale tied the score at 2 in the fourth quarter before the Cavaliers ultimately pulled out a 3-2 victory. Head coach Christy Morgan credited the team's talk on the field as the key to good scoring opportunities.
Communication connects you. So we talk a lot about that. When it goes silent, then it's scary. And today there was great energy, there was great communication, there was great connection.
Now, with a 3-12 record and 2 more home games left on the schedule, they'll look to carry that spirit through the end of what's been a difficult season.
The energy that we brought tonight created a lot of what happened on the field, just working on the skills that we've worked on in this game and also just tweaking a few things. But honestly, I think that's going to be our biggest thing right now, is just focusing on the energy and bringing it out on Sunday.
Sunday's matchup against Georgetown is scheduled for 12 p.m. Reporting from the JMU Field Hockey Complex, this is Piper Hepler.
That's all from the Board of Sports this week. Zoe and Maggie, back to you.
Thanks, Colby. And we're back in just a little bit more festive as we wrap up this spooky edition of Breeze TV.
Avoid getting points on your license by following these rules of the road.
And turn the page with a new local bookstore in the friendly city.
Then, who you gonna call? This ghost hunter in Stanton talks all things paranormal in the historic city.
You don't want to miss what we're brewing. We'll be right back.
Where did my big go? I need to go home.
Okay, everyone, let's figure out how to get home. Okay, what about riding a bird home?
We all know how that ended last time.
Well, what about Uber?
Are you kidding? Have you seen our bank account?
Ooh, what about a Safe Rides? It's free and it's guaranteed to get us home safe.
Let's do it.
Save your spooks for Halloween and call Safe Rides for a ride home.
It's bow time. It takes 49 steps to bake a fluffy made-from-scratch Bojangles biscuit. But to make it a country ham biscuit, it takes 50. Get a fresh buttermilk biscuit today with a slice of juicy country-style ham. It's bow time.
This is Breeze TV.
The Harrisonburg Police Department has seen an influx of driving violations against the no left turn signs on the intersection of Bradley Drive and Port Republic Road. The signs were put up in 2021 to decrease accidents, but Sergeant Wayne Westfall says people still haven't gotten it right. Despite the two flashing lights, a significant amount of drivers still continue to get ticketed. In September alone, about 180 citations were issued on Port Republic Road. HPD says these signs are for your safety and shouldn't be ignored.
When class schedules started again and school came back, we started receiving some complaints. And so we assigned officers out there to monitor it and try to remind people you're not supposed to turn there. Even with marked police cars sitting there, people are still turning.
Westfall says the biggest cause of these accidents and violations is distracted driving. He encourages the community to keep their eyes on the road, and this traffic violation could result in serious consequences.
It's a point violation, so it's going to add points to your driver's license potentially. So that's something you need to think about. Increase your insurance rates. You know, even if you're driving mom and dad's car, when you get your own vehicle and you get your own insurance, it's still going to come back and impact your insurance.
Calling all book lovers, there is a new local bookstore in the Berg. Parentheses is the only shop of its kind in downtown Harrisonburg. I opened the page at their grand opening this week to see what they've got in store.
Downtown Harrisonburg's only locally owned bookstore is now open in the Friendly City. Owner Amanda Friss said bookstores are more than just a place that sell books. They are community spaces for people to connect with others who love to read.
Independent bookstores can't survive without community support, and there are other places to buy books, obviously, but to have everyone in Harrisonburg really support the store and shop locally in general, I feel very grateful.
A local book community has already begun to form. Friss's husband, Evan Friss, said people are enjoying the space, browsing through books, and talking about literature.
A bookstore has its own atmosphere and is a kind of haven for people who love reading and want to think about the value of books, and there's nothing quite like this indie space here.
One of Parentheses' first customers, Kristen Grimshaw, said she is very excited to have a local bookstore in town and is already adding new books to her collection.
It fits the vibe of Harrisonburg so well because we are a town that is, you know, we have a heavy emphasis and appreciation for ground up, heart-made businesses, and I think that those are the businesses that A, like do the best in Harrisonburg, and B, that people truly love.
With Parentheses starting its chapter in the Berg, Amanda Friss hopes the bookstore becomes a space for authors, open mic poetry, and children's story times.
Now, do you believe in ghosts? Well, you're in luck, because just 30 miles south of Harrisonburg lies Stanton, Virginia, which claims to be one of the most haunted cities in the state. I spoke with a paranormal investigator from Black Raven Paranormal to discuss the best spots that host the spookiest activity.
One of the things I really like is researching the history here of the town, the locations, putting that together, gathering people's own personal experiences, paranormal stories, ghost stories,
Being 290 years old, Stanton, Virginia is rich with history. Founded in 1732, the city has seen itself through multiple phases of American history. From being a major trading spot during the American Revolution to a Civil War-era hospital, the city claims to be a hub of paranormal activity. And the building behind me, the American Hotel, has been with the area through most of its past and is what some claim to be a place where visitors can see something from the other side.
You know, I've always been down the basement. I've had some things happen down there which would have been used as a morgue when this served as a Civil War hospital.
Well, we'd like to say goodnight.
When you're doing maybe an EVP session or you just hear someone's voice as if someone's standing or sitting right beside you, yeah, I can get your attention.
This hotel isn't the only supposedly haunted building. Siebel said the century-old Clock Tower Bar and Restaurant is another spot filled with electric activity.
Now, some of the stories about the haunts there, they do involve a little girl, supposedly she was 7 or 8, fell down a coal chute and died. I was kind of skeptical because there's no validation of that, but I know when we did go in there, we clearly got the voice of a little girl on audio in there several times.
With hundreds of investigations under his belt, Siebel said just because you experience no ghost activity in one building doesn't mean you're alone.
I just believe that for whatever reason, whoever might be there chose not to interact with you or talk.
Black Raven Paranormal will host multiple interactive ghost tours during the week of Halloween, and if you decide to join them, just beware of what might be around the corner.
Well, if you're looking to do a tour, you're in luck. Temperatures are warming up for this Halloween weekend. Abby Allard has the weather. Abby?
Thanks, Maggie. I think the spookiest thing about this weekend is that temperatures are rising. It'll be a warm Halloween weekend, but today we're looking at high 70s and low 80s for Friday, and then fall foliage is now at its peak. You can go to the Shenandoah National Park to see the leaves change colors, but in about 2 weeks, it'll no longer be at its peak. And then this Saturday is game day at 8 p.m. We're looking at 67 degrees, then 9 p.m. 65, 10 p.m. 64, and at 11 p.m. it'll be 63 degrees. And then on Sunday, the temperatures will be similar to today, where we're looking at high 70s and low 80s. That's your Halloween weekend weather. Whatever you have planned for Halloween, it's important to remain vigilant. Kayla Brown is in the studio with Dr. Tim Miller on how you can stay safe this weekend.
Thanks, Abby, and thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Miller. You know, it's homecoming, it's Halloween weekend, with such a high influx of guests here. How is JMU preparing to handle all of it?
So we work really closely with the city police and our local police here on campus, and they work together to make sure that it's a safe place. We know there's a lot of alumni coming. Also know for whatever reason, JMU is a hotbed for people to come from other campuses. So we know there'll be a lot of other college students in town. So they prepared, everyone really knows what's going on, and they've done this for a lot of years. So this is not our first time we've had Halloween and homecoming at the same time. So we're pretty well practiced.
And what advice do you have for students to, you know, stay safe this weekend?
I think one, know your limits, always travel with friends, and also realize there's a lot of people that are not part of our community that will be here this weekend. So I want people to be safe, know where you are, know who you're with, have a plan, and also tell your friends where you're going to be, and always travel together when you leave events. Don't leave friends behind and bring them with you.
All right, and is there anything that you would like students to know about, you know, this weekend, and, you know, examples of how they can take precautions?
Well, I think one, for whatever reason, students think that once they put on a costume that it's a different world. They're still in college, they're still here. They think that because they have a mask on or things like that, that suddenly the rules don't apply and that they can be safe in that way, and I just don't think that that's true. It's a late game. Hope people will stay at the game till the end. That'll be a great way to support the team, but also maybe delay when you might go out. And you don't actually have to go out every time people invite you, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and during the day on Saturday. It's not a normal thing to do in life, so hopefully people will pace themselves and make different choices.
All right, and thank you so much for joining us. Back to you guys at the main desk.
Thank you, Kayla and Dr. Miller, for giving us those safety tips for this weekend, because it's Halloween and homecoming, which I'm really excited about. How about you, Maggie?
Yeah, I'm really excited tonight. It's the Young Gravy concert, and then we have the game on Saturday, so it's a jam-packed weekend with a lot of fun.
I'm really excited to see all the alumni come out, and I hope you guys are excited for homecoming too. And we'll see you guys same time, same place next week.